It's May 20th, 1941. Crete's sun-scorched cliffs shudder as a distant hum swells to a deafening roar. Hundreds of German Ju-52s darken the Mediterranean sky, spilling thousands of Nazi paratroopers like a deadly swarm. Chutes bloom, drifting toward Maleme, Heraklion, Rethymno, an invasion to choke the lifeblood of Allied supply lines. But on the ground, 500 British paratroopers of the 2nd Parachute Battalion stand resolute, their rifles gleaming in the dawn. Outnumbered, outgunned, they face 10,000 Nazi troops in a battle you've never heard. Their courage could shock Hitler's war machine or bury Crete in blood, dust, and ruin. This is their story, a clash of steel, sacrifice, and unyielding will that reshaped World War II. Welcome to Through the Ages, where we unearth history's raw truth. Before we plunge into this island inferno, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and join thousands exploring the past like never before. Spring 1941. The world teeters on a knife's edge. Nazi Germany, a juggernaut of conquest, has swept through Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France in a mere 2 years. The Battle of Britain, fought through the summer of 1940, halted Hitler's invasion plans. But Britain stands alone, battered and defiant. The United States remains neutral, its entry into the war 7 months away after Pearl Harbor. The Soviet Union, bound by the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, is weeks from Germany's betrayal in Operation Barbarossa. In April 1941, Germany crushed Yugoslavia and Greece, forcing a chaotic Allied evacuation. Thousands of British, Australian, and New Zealand troops, bloodied and weary, retreat to Crete, a rugged island fortress guarding the Mediterranean sea lanes to Egypt, the Suez Canal, and the Middle East. Crete's strategic value is immense. Control its airfields, and Hitler's Luftwaffe could dominate the Mediterranean, strangling Allied supplies and threatening North Africa. Lose it, and the Allies risk a collapsed southern flank. The island's defenders, led by New Zealand's General Bernard Freyberg, number roughly 47,500, 15,700 British, 7,750 New Zealanders, 6,500 Australians, 10,200 Greeks, and thousands of Cretan civilians wielding rifles, knives, even farm tools. But the Allies face daunting challenges. Many troops, fresh from Greece's defeat, are exhausted, their morale frayed. Equipment is scarce. Few tanks, limited artillery, and a handful of obsolete aircraft dwarfed by the Luftwaffe's 280 bombers and 150 fighters. Freyberg, armed with ultra-intelligence revealing Germany's airborne plan, must conceal his knowledge, preparing for both paratrooper drops and seaborne landings across 160 miles of coastline. "We're stretched thin," Freyberg confided to his staff, according to his memoirs. "Every airfield, every beach, they could hit anywhere." Among the defenders, the British 2nd Parachute Battalion, some 500 paratroopers trained for daring drops, holds Heraklion and Rethymno. Captain John Forster, their commander, rallies his men. "We're 500 against thousands, lads. Crete's our line in the sand. Hold fast." Their Bren guns, Lee Enfields, and grit are all they have against Germany's elite Fallschirmjäger. Meanwhile, Cretan civilians, fueled by fierce patriotism, prepare to fight. "This is our home," a villager, Maria Papadakis, later recalled. "We'd die before letting Nazis take it." On the German side, General Kurt Student, architect of airborne victories in Norway and the Netherlands, pitches Operation Mercury, a blitzkrieg from the sky. Crete will fall in days, he boasts to Hitler, per his post-war accounts. The Führer, wary of overextending his forces, approves. Over 22,000 troops mobilize, 7,000 to 9,350 paratroopers of the 7th Air Division, 750 glider-borne, 5,000 air-landed, and 7,000 sea-borne, backed by Luftwaffe supremacy. Students Fallschirmjäger, armed with MG-42s and Mausers, are confident, their paratrooper creed echoing, swift, silent, deadly. General Julius Ringel, commanding mountain troops, adds, Crete's airfields are the key. Seize them, and the island is ours. Generals' voices shape the battle's stakes. Freyberg, resolute, tells Winston Churchill, "We will fight them on the beaches, in the hills, to the last man," echoing Churchill's defiance per the Second World War. Churchill, in London, sees Crete as a test. "Hold Crete, and we prove the Nazis can bleed," he writes to Wavell. Student in Athens radiates confidence. "My paratroopers will sweep the island clean," he declares, per Fallschirmjäger by Bruce Quarry. But German General Wilhelm List warns, Crete's terrain is a trap. Losses will be high. Their words foreshadow a battle that will test both sides' resolve. May 20th dawns. At 7:15 a.m., Crete trembles. German Ju-52s roar over Maleme, Heraklion and Rethymno, disgorging paratroopers in relentless waves. Chutes bloom like deadly blossoms, but the 2nd Parachute Battalion is ready. At Heraklion, about 200 of Forster's 500 men dig into olive groves, their Bren guns spitting fire. "Fire!" Forster roars. Bullets shred silk, German bodies plummet, some chutes collapsing mid-air. Private Tom Baxter, a 2nd Battalion paratrooper, later recalled, "It was like shooting ducks in a gallery, but they kept coming." Over 9,350 Fallschirmjäger descend, their screams drowned by engine roars, their landings marred by misdrops into cliffs and seas. The first day is chaos. At Maleme, New Zealanders slaughter 400 Germans in minutes, wrecked Ju-52s flaming on the runway. At Rethymno, Australians cut down paratroopers before they unhook chutes. Heraklion's 2nd Parachute Battalion pins Germans in open fields, their 500 men a steel wall. Cretan civilians join the fray, ambushing stranded Fallschirmjäger. Eleni Vlachu, a Cretan teenager, later shared, "I stabbed a German with my father's knife. Crete's women fought like lions." By dusk, 1,000 Germans lie dead, but Maleme's airfield teeters. May 21st. Student doubles down, funneling reinforcements to Maleme. German paratroopers seize the airfield, allowing 5,000 air-landed troops to pour in. The 2nd Parachute Battalion, stretched across Heraklion, faces 10,000 Nazis, mortars pounding their lines. Forster, bloodied, rallies his men. "No retreat, lads! Crete's ours." A corporal might have scrawled, "Dust chokes, bullets sing, 500 of us, but we're Crete's heart." At Chania, German gliders land amid gunfire, streets turning to rubble. Cretan priest Father Nikos, wielding a rifle, recalled, "Faith was our weapon. We fought for God in Crete." May 22nd to 24th. The Luftwaffe unleashes hell. Stukas dive, bombs cratering Allied positions. The 2nd Parachute Battalion, down to about 400 men, holds Heraklion's airfield against relentless assaults. Lieutenant Charles Upham, a New Zealander nearby, earns a Victoria Cross, charging German lines with grenades per VC recipients. Cretan women smuggle supplies, risking execution. "We carried bullets in our skirts," Maria Papadakis said. "German losses mount. 2,500 dead by May 24, yet their grip tightens. Student cables Berlin. Crete bleeds us, but we advance. May 25th to 27th. Freiburg's lines crack. Allied air support is gone. Radios silent. The 2nd Parachute Battalion, now about 350 men, digs in at Heraklion's perimeter. "Hold the line!" Forster shouts, his voice hoarse. German paratroopers, expecting victory, falter under Cretan ambushes. A villager, Yanis Stavros, recalled, "We hid in caves, struck at night. Crete never surrendered." By May 27th, 4,000 Germans are dead, their chutes tangled in thorns. Australian Private John Harris wrote, "Those 500 paratroopers were iron, Cretans were our soul." May 28th to 30th. The Royal Navy fights to save Crete. Destroyers brave Luftwaffe dives, evacuating 16,500 allies from Sfakia's beaches. But 17,000 are captured, 3,000 dead. The 2nd Parachute Battalion, down to about 200, boards ships under fire, their rifles still warm. Heraklion's airfield, soaked in blood, holds until the end. German seaborne troops, repelled by naval guns, lose 7,000 men. Captain George Jellicoe on HMS Kelly recalled, "We sailed through hell. Crete's defenders deserved better." German troops, now 10,000 strong, claim Crete by June 1st, but at a staggering cost. 6,000 dead or wounded, nearly half their paratrooper force. June 2nd and beyond. Crete's fall is a hollow triumph. Hitler, stunned, bans large-scale airborne operations per Hitler's war directives. General Student, shaken, calls Crete our grave per Fallschirmjäger memoirs. The 2nd Parachute Battalion's 500 paratroopers, alongside Cretan villagers, inflicted a wound Nazi Germany couldn't ignore. Churchill, addressing Parliament, lauded, "Crete's gallantry proved Hitler's elite could bleed," per the Second World War. Freiburg in Egypt wrote, "Crete's sacrifice lit a fire. We'll fight on." Allied morale, battered by defeat, surges with pride. Private Harris noted, "We lost Crete, but showed the world. Nazis aren't invincible." German morale, conversely, frays. The Fallschirmjäger, once untouchable, mourn 6,000 comrades, their confidence shaken. "Crete broke our spirit," a German sergeant, Hans Müller, confessed post-war. The victory delays Hitler's Mediterranean plans, straining resources as Barbarossa looms. Cretan civilians face brutal reprisals, 3,000 executed, villages razed. Yet their defiance fuels resistance across Greece, per Cretan resistance. By 1945, Crete's story inspires SOE missions and partisan uprisings, its 500 paratroopers and villagers etched in Allied lore. This is Crete's crucible. 500 paratroopers of the 2nd Battalion, Cretan knives, Allied grit against 10,000 Nazis. Heraklion burns, Maleme falls, yet defiance endures. The story you've never heard shocked Hitler, bled his elite, and lit a spark the Reich couldn't douse. Victory cost Crete dearly, but its courage reshaped the war. What stirs you? The 500 paratroopers' iron will? Cretan women's knives? A legacy that defied defeat? Share in the comments. For more raw history, hit subscribe now. Stay tuned for our next tale.